Hello and welcome to GreenFleet Talks. My name's Kate Armitage and I'm your host for our discussion today. I'm delighted to be joined by Amanda Payne, who is Strategic Partnerships Manager at ElectriX. Hi, Amanda.
Good morning.
Good morning to you too. Lovely to speak. We've not spoken before, so I'm keen to hear your words of wisdom this morning. Amanda, I think we were all familiar with LV Insurance, which operates under the umbrella of Allianz. But in fact, ElectriX, which is the kind of brand that you work for, is offering a lot more than car insurance. Can you tell us a bit more, please?
Yes, sure. So back in 2019, LV were one of the first insurance companies to launch the electric vehicle insurance product. So it got us kind of thinking around, well, do you know what? It's not just about insurance. How do we make a customer journey easy to become an electric vehicle driver? So we started doing a bit of research where we looked at partners in terms of providing a lease vehicle, an electric vehicle, and then we thought, well, actually, it's not just about the car and the insurance. What about charging it, etc.? So we partnered with a company called CBBC, who are a leasing company, and what makes them quite different is they are a multi-panel funder. So actually for large businesses or medium businesses, electric vehicle salary sacrifice, they can use different credit lines, etc. And we then partnered with a company called Indra, who are a home charging solution partner. So in terms of getting that whole rounded product into 2020 and 2021, we launched the whole electric vehicle all-inclusive package. We started off with business contract hire and personal contract hire, but quickly found that salary sacrifice for businesses was the way that a lot of companies wanted to go. So hence ElectriX was born, and we offer the all-inclusive package.
Perfect, Amanda. And it really does sound like you've taken a lot of the hard work out of this for fleets. You know, this is quite a mature industry now, I'm pleased to say. But there are still fleets out there who have not begun that electrification process or their journey for net zero. So what would you say they need to be thinking about when they're looking at the business case?
Yeah, sure. So you probably heard of the Companies Act 2006. So that requires large and medium-sized companies to report on business environmental impacts on an annual basis. So it kind of comes as no surprise, really, that organisations are looking at what they can do differently to focus on net zero, sustainability, and have a good ESG strategy. So actually, since COVID, attracting and retaining talent within organisations has also changed. So more people look now for what benefits and perks an organisation can offer. You probably have seen recent statistics out there as well. So a recent survey showed that 83% of employees are more invested in organisations that can align themselves with environmental goals and can also demonstrate that social responsibility. So whilst they're also playing a part in reducing carbon emissions and combating climate change, employees are looking for something a little bit different that an organisation can bring. So general salary sacrifice schemes are now adopted by over 60% of UK businesses, with perks ranging from childcare to gym membership, etc. But a lot of people have found that that's quite kind of old hat now. So what else can a company offer? So an EV salary sacrifice scheme is an affordable way for an employee to switch to an electric vehicle, and they can save up to 40% on lower running costs, environmental benefits, etc. It is, however, important for organisations to understand with their employees that an EV is not right for everybody, but understand the key elements of switching to an EV, such as the features, the range and charging, etc. So it's a really good opportunity for businesses to offer to their employees something a little bit different and getting an affordable electric vehicle.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, it kind of strikes me, Amanda, I mean, a salary sacrifice we know has been a huge success, you know, and those statistics that you were giving are not a surprise at all. Of course, salary sacrifices is voluntary. So that employee has done their own homework and they are volunteering to put themselves into an electric vehicle. And I would expect that most of the time they actively want to and are very excited about that experience. On the business leasing side, it may not be the employee's choice to switch into an electric vehicle, which I think can be more challenging. So that driver experience that goes with that, how can employers make sure that drivers are positive about switching to electric?
Yeah, sure. So there are still quite a lot of myths out there around driving an electric vehicle, such as the range of vehicle models, the battery range, and how to charge it. We still hear quite often people saying, "Well, I don't want an electric vehicle because I've got to charge it every 5 minutes. I can't quite get the distance that I need to go to, etc." So electrics do help to bust those myths when speaking to organisations, as the costs to actually run an electric vehicle are surprisingly lower than people think. Personally, I've got an electric vehicle. To charge my car to a 350-mile range cost me about £13. Now, if that was a petrol or a diesel vehicle, that would cost me more like £80. So you can see where that balance kind of changes. However, it is important that clear communication with employees it is given around driving electric vehicles, which is key. So it's kind of understanding with the employees what mileage they'll be doing, where they'll be going, and how they will charge is probably a critical element. So it's all about the mindset change of an electric vehicle. So for an example, if home charging isn't an option, then it's worth knowing that there are now many smartphone applications to locate chargers on driving routes. Even on most electric vehicles now, on sat navs, etc., it automatically pinpoints charging areas and locations on a route, so that helps. So there are over 55,000 public chargers across the UK now, so there are plenty of options to choose from, and you probably may have seen them popping up all over the place. So it's probably important to say that once you start driving an electric vehicle, it is quite hard to go back to anything else. There are so many things that are a benefit to an electric vehicle that people probably don't realise until they get in one.
Well, hey, listen, I'm sold. You're preaching to the converted here, but I mean, it does. I kind of would add in. You said at the very beginning that there's a lot of myths out there. Some of them didn't used to be myths, range and charging infrastructure is challenging. I think also we have to take into account now that there's a lot of negative press, and generally speaking, the people who are negative about EVs aren't the EV drivers. You've said that, once you're in one, you don't want to go back. But I do think we have to be much more mindful about the fact that people's opinions are being formed by people who not only don't drive EVs, but actually are quite negative about them. And I think that's something that we've got to be really conscious of and quite patient with as well,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are kind of a lot of people say, oh, I can't drive it because I do quite a lot of long distance, etc. Whereas the majority of electric vehicles now have got a 250-mile range plus. And actually, a lot of people don't realise that. Some people will look at cars and say, before you used to look at the colour or the features of it, the most important thing of an electric vehicle is to look at what the range is. And actually, if you're doing long distance, it's important that you get a vehicle that's got a good range, and actually some of those myths are still there, and they are getting better, but as you said, it's kind of almost like talking to the people that have got that ingrained that they can't drive an electric car.
And I think the acid test is always the money. Salary sacrifice is a great example of that. People who said, oh, there's no way I'd have an electric, but they suddenly realized how much they can save if they switch their company car out for an electric. Actually, let me rethink this. So money does talk. You mentioned at the beginning that you had a partner with Indra, a partnership with Indra, who produce charging wall boxes. Tell us about what you think fleets should be considering when they think about the infrastructure.
Yeah, sure. So it's not every single driver will be able to have a home charger. If they can, great, they can charge it overnight at a cost tariff on their energy bill that runs best for them. Indra offer a smart feature, etc., where you can schedule it to run overnight, etc. However, it is important to consider whether installing chargers in the workplace is an option and how this would work. Now, again, that's not for everybody, but research would need to be carried out out, e.g. kind of like the permission from a landlord if the business or the building is leased, the electricity provider, and how the charges would work, i.e. is it going to be just for employees or is it for the wider public? So we do offer workplace charging. However, it's not just as simple as putting a charger in the car park and everybody using it. There's lots of research that needs to be done. It is worth noting though that there is still a government grant available, and it's running by the Office for Zero Emissions, and it's administered by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency. So the grant does cover up to 7% of the total costs of the purchase and the installation of the EV charger, but you have to do your research first if it's workplace charging is the way that a business is going to go.
Great. Okay. And I'm glad you'd mentioned the grants because, you know, one of the things I was going to ask you about was support for businesses who are looking to electrify their fleet. That workplace charging grant, we don't know when that's going to be taken away. It's been around for quite a long time. So I think the sooner people act, the better. Otherwise, they may be disappointed and miss out on that benefit. And are you able to offer any kind of help and support for your customers who are going through this process?
Yes, so because we partner with Indra, there's lots of options that we can work with the business on. So if, for example, it's an employee that lives in a block of flats, that's not an impossible to fit a charger at that building. We also can offer chargers with an RFID card. So what that means is that if the employer wants to fit a workplace charger, but they only want their employees to charge the car and not the general public, there is a way of us doing that. And also, it's quite an attraction that if it's a business that wants to get their employees back into the workplace, what better than having a workplace charger? I would certainly probably spend more time in the office if I knew that I could go and I could charge my car up whilst I'm working and then drive it home, etc. So it is an attractive feature if you want to fit a workplace charger.
Yeah. I agree, you know, and from personal experience, I have friends who, believe it or not, still have access to free workplace charging, which I know is becoming less popular from an employer point of view, but still a great benefit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Amanda, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your insight today. And of course, thank you to ElectriX for joining GreenFleet Talks.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That is about all we've got time for. Thank you for watching. Please tune in to GF365 again soon.